especially against a pitcher who they shelled a couple months prior. Like, what did you learn and glean from their approach and why they attacked the way that they did? That ended up only being with Christian Scott, of course, with irony being what it is. Christian Scott being your lone hit after the crap that a lot of Tennessee fans have thrown at Christian Scott all year long.
Yeah, he's him and Hunter Ensley, man. Two of my favorite stories of this year. Christian Scott more so than Ensley because Scott's a fifth-year senior. But anyway,
yeah.
This team struggles, and I'm not breaking any news here. This team struggles against lefties because they are such a left-handed hitting lineup. It struggles against lefties who can locate a fastball early in the count and then has a breaking ball that can go away from those left-handed hitters. And Tennessee struggled with Wayne Singh on Tuesday. Tennessee struggled with that freshman at Georgia that came in Game 2, and both of those guys had horrendous stat lines. And I mean, it's fact, right? I mean, this guy Tennessee shelled earlier in the year. He had a 5.98 ERA coming into that game. There was a lot of reason to think Tennessee was going to have a good day, but sometimes, you just kind of get in that funk, and from the left, hitting from the left side, you just can't hit any breaking balls, and that's kind of where Tennessee was. Now, should they have managed a couple more hits? Should they have put some more guys on base? Absolutely. They've done it before. I mean, it's not like they can't hit left-handed pitching. It's just sometimes they get in that groove, kind of like Tennessee basketball offensively, to where, nothing's kind of falling. So I thought the approach was really, really bad on Tuesday. Top to bottom of the order. I didn't think anybody really looked good. They had some hard hit balls towards the end that it was right at people, and that's the sport of baseball sometimes. If it makes you feel any better, Texas A&M one hit South Carolina earlier in the week as well. So they're they're doing some things down there in Hoover.
It's funny too. Like, I was at Yeehaw with my wife, the Georgia game that you're talking about, and when he was throwing, I jotted down, and like, people were getting really upset with how that game was going around, where it was like Tennessee just could not do anything with it. And I looked at her and I was like, oh, Tennessee's losing this game. Like, this is absolutely happening. Like, Blake Burke, who we'll talk about in a second, obviously had a really rough time in that particular game. But the off-speed stuff, and when Tennessee, just their attack mentality, their aggressiveness, those kind of pitchers, you don't see them as often because that's just not the name of the game. It's velocity. It's throwing hard. It's you see a lot more nasty stuff and just more things that would lend itself to Tennessee just being one of the sport and conference's better offenses. But when you have guys like that and thrown at you, it just, Tennessee, for whatever reason, that even going back to last year, that's just been a struggle for them, those kind of pitchers, for whatever reason.
Yeah, it has. And I mean, the guy that pitched on Tuesday, he's got some decent stuff. He just hadn't had a good year, whatsoever. And again, if you can locate a fastball early in the count and then throw a breaking ball and get these guys just chasing, and you got a scouting report as well, right? Everybody knows that Maui Ahuna is a free swinger. They're going to throw him junk, and he's going to swing at it, right? Everyone knows that Blake Burke with 2 strikes is not very good. Everybody knows that Jared Dickey is even he'll chase some things out of the zone as well. So they have a scouting report just like Tennessee does. But as Tony Vitello said after the game, and I mean, he was frustrated obviously, and he said it the politically correct way, but said, hey, what that guy did over there for Texas A&M, that wasn't in any scouting report we had. That we did not expect that whatsoever. So just kind of one of those things. The guy, the pitcher against at Georgia, I think his fastball was topping out at like 91. I mean, it was like 90.
Yeah.
He was not throwing hard. He was throwing junk. Kind of the same thing, but a little bit different because the guy on Tuesday certainly had some stuff. So, ultimately, Tennessee's proven they can hit that this year, but they have, when they've struggled the worst top to bottom of the order, it's been against a southpaw who just has a nice little breaking ball that can get Tennessee swinging, and unfortunately we've seen that a couple of times.
Yeah, and we might not see that in the regional. We might not see it till the super regional. Like, it's going to pop back up, but yeah. I don't know. I think if that's an issue, it's a much bigger issue if you're not hitting the, like, Tennessee's power is there. And the biggest thing too, I think, that took almost the whole season, but understandably so when you lose 8 of 9 guys in the lineup, is that you actually found your new go-to lineup. Like, you kind of figured it out with Dickey at the 3, Maui Ahuna batting leadoff, Hunter Ensley really settling into that number 2 spot. I mean, I guess now it's a little bit more in flux because Burke has now been moved down the order, and I wonder if that's going to be the norm going forward. I don't know if that's what it looks like for him. Is it just, do you think that sits, or do you think he's back in that meat of the lineup come regional time?
I think it sits for right now. I mean, he's not done anything to give you, and I know they're not playing this weekend. Obviously, there won't be a midweek or anything, but just kind of the way he's swinging the bat. I mean, I would assume that's sticking. Griffin Merritt as well. Nobody had a good day Tuesday, but
Yeah.
Griffin Merritt's resurgence as well at the DH spot kind of gives you reason to say, okay, well, you can hit him fourth, you can hit him fifth if needed.
Yeah.
And so that makes it a little bit easier. So, things can change, and we'll talk, and we'll try to get some info, before regional play starts. But if I was a betting man right here a week out, I would just assume that, Burke's probably going to be hitting in that seventh, because that's, he's not giving you much right now. And he's been really bad away from Lindsey Nelson. He's been really bad in conference play. And it's a shame, because he's got the sweetest swing. He's got the highest potential in terms of being a hitter on the team, in my opinion. But kind of the same thing, I was saying earlier, teams got the scout on him this year. He's in a much different position to where he's not DHing. He's not coming off the bench as a pinch hitter, to where I think last year he had like 11 home runs and 92 at bats or whatever. It was really good.
Yeah.
He was getting, he was getting all the comparisons and everything of some of the greats, right? And this year he's playing every single day in the field, and he's learning how to do that as well at first base. It's not easy. It makes you think how fortunate Tennessee was with Luke Lipsius, my counterpart on the porch every single week, manning that first base. And so, he can work out of it. Hopefully he can give you something in regional play. But as far as Blake Burke is right now concerned, I would assume that he's probably going to be, hitting seventh. And boy, if he can come up with some big hits, that'd be huge, because then you got Christian Scott, you got Cal Stark down there in the bottom of the order. You feel good about the guys at the top. And then, of course, depending on the day, you'll see if Merritt and Denton and Christian Moore can give you something right there in the heart.
Do you think every pitcher is comfortable with Cal Stark to this point, or are you a little nervous going into regional time with him being the everyday guy?
No, I think they're comfortable. I mean, he's been the everyday guy now for, I want to say maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
I give Tennessee coaches credit, man. They were trying everything. They were trying to, push the right buttons. They were trying to, figure the right puzzle pieces in. And, Jared Dickey hadn't caught since fall, right? Outside of some bullpens. And they were like, we got to try something. And so they put him behind the plate, and they rolled with that for a couple of weeks. And they're like, okay, well, that's not going to work. Let's put him back in the outfield, and let's just go with Cal Stark. We know Cal Stark is going to be good defensively, and whatever he gives you at the plate is a plus. Also, what he gives you at the plate is far more encouraging than what, Charlie Taylor could at this point in time. So I think Cal Stark's handled the pitching staff really well. I think Cal Stark has shown that, if the pitcher could help you out at all, he could throw out a lot more runners. That's something that I think a lot of people overlook. Like, controlling the run game, it's not just the catcher, it's the pitcher too. And Tennessee's pitchers are so slow to the plate. But I think he's done a really nice job. And offensively, even though the average isn't where you want it to be, his approach at the plate most of the time, he gives you good ABs. And that's just a plus, with anything he does behind the plate.
If you had to forecast and kind of think about, like, if you're writing the Volquest story about a month from now, of like how Tennessee won the College World Series based on them having the fifth best odds going into the tournament, which is pretty good, pretty surprising, but pretty good. And everyone obviously made the Ole Miss comparisons, because I think their records were identical at one point through a point in the year where they were like, they're exactly the same. And it's like, yeah, that's nice. But all right, like, I don't know what you can really take from that. We'll see. And the odds of it going back to back like that, I mean, the odds are good it's going to be an SEC team. That's something we've learned the last couple of years. So, I mean, with the conference playing the way that it is, I mean, that's always a good bet at this point. But, like, if you had to, based on every game you've watched this year, you've seen how this team's evolved, you've seen how this team's grown, you've seen how really the rotations had to adjust on the fly to what the best three guys are for Vitello, and we're still figuring that out come regional time. And that was the thing. I mean, you had the video, the three